Hi, my name is Theodore Cottingham, and I'm in love with you, who will be love too. So I am changing a lot of things, like my lighting, trying to, with my new camera. I'm no technical guru, but here I am. Why do I do what I do, even when I don't really feel like doing it? Why am I motivated to make these recordings, to live stream? You see, revelation is a flow. Truth is not stagnant. Encouragement comes from connecting with the encourager. The encourager is me. I am the truth. The truth is I am. I and I am are one. Truth flows through me and I learn from it. I see things I've never seen before through my words that I channel. At his bidding, not but mine. You see, I am no God to serve, nor do I serve any other God. For all of the God service of each other that worships a superior power goes bye-bye. For revelation is not truth, but truth can be revelation. Or is revelation just a new thought? Do you begin to see, feel, think, associate new linkages within your mind? What happens when you begin to adjust things? Change your technology. Re-examine your truth. Question your assumptions. Are you willing to open your heart? The heart of your blood pumping muscle, not, but the heart of your truth, your command center, your brain, your essence, your consciousness. I am, and this is how I do it now. I simply sit and surrender. And infinite mercy comes to me, not. I am it. Because I've learned there is no other me than me. Except that the real me is the one you don't see. The real me, you see, is my energy body. The real me is not molecular, limited to it. So what you look at and seem to see as a molecular person is not the real me. It's this me in flesh at this time in this way. And I'm coming to you not to bar you from what I am learning, what I have learned, and what I become, but to open the channel of mercy and grace of you to you, so you begin to know your energy body, that some call your Holy Spirit, the individual part of the Holy Spirit that is you. And learn from it. The fallow ground will no more be fallow. I love you and I bless you and I thank you for listening. Recording these messages, making notes, taking notes, sharing them with people, sharing the links of my website, theodorcottingham.com, sharing with other people what you're learning, so that as you begin to create a flow through you, you begin to see more. And the more you see, the more you may understand. And the more you understand, the more you will create the provision of the opening of the flow, growth of the tree of life, the tree of creation, the desk of creation, the microphone of no longer death subject to, using a microphone of peace, love, and joy that destroys much ignorance. Why do I do these things? Because love exists. Love that you never knew manifests this way. Love that reveals you're not conquered by man anymore, or any God on earth or anywhere else. I do this, you see, to reunite the angels. The angels. A race of people, a race of beings. I am reuniting God, not, but I am, depending on how you see it. Or am I working not with numbers, or but just truth that supersedes your mathematics to understand your universe? Am I working with words, or do you need them no more? Are you willing to see the truth through these words, that you are a containment series, no more of vascular concepts or what you consider your human deeds, your human condition. I am asking you to take part with me of an experiment, not, but to take part of love, begin to romance it, woo it, and love it in ways that you've never known before, you've never cherished before, you've never known. It could talk this way. For when love started talking with me, I was shocked. I would ask questions. Love would speak. Mostly having nothing to do with what I ask. And yet I knew somehow the source was beyond me. The source was not me that I thought was me. The source was outside my cognitive processing unit. I began to feel and have feelings. I began to have subjects addressed, experiences in my life that I know no one else knew. You know, I'm simply an old guy. I live right now in Eureka Springs. But my life is changing. My life is about to change. And whether I feel good or not, as long as I'm not sick in bed, as I've been the last few days, I pretty much get up and record like this. Because I've mentioned revelation is a flow. Truth is a flow. And that flow depends upon you, entirely upon you. Revelation of the universe, the origin of man, the origin of our species, the origin of love, the origin of God, the demise of God. Are you open to pre-God, God, post-God understanding? Or must you have a God story to make you feel like you're okay, that you're accepted? What are you willing to know, do, see, feel, become? Are you willing to reunite with the angels if you realize you are one? What are you doing with your magical powers? I flow these words to reunite the angels into a race A race of people, common people, not just affluent, rich elite, certainly not a bunch of alpha males wanting to control some white man's belief system, where it came from, who did what will come through an eastern wall or not. I tell you, it's all about to change dramatically, because the revolution the revolution of revelation is here, so that the mystery of Christ no more exists as a mystery. Christianity will no more control the message of Christ. A Messiah will no more be seen as a soon coming king. You will begin to be reunited with your energy body, your body of revelation. Your body where there's no strong man to keep you out of your garden of creation. The Garden of Eden between your ears, where the tree of life is, where you choose to eat the fruit that you sow the seed of. You tend the garden. You choose to open or close the gateways of your truth. And once you choose truth, you corroborate it. You validate it to you. You say, I found it. This is the way. And it's the way for you because you just decided it was the way. You create it. Why do I do this? To reunite the angels. So the angels will no longer have a false identity of being humans limited to this earth in the suffering of mankind's mind and the brutality of people's theories that think there's a heaven and a hell, that they're always being judged. To be not exonerated, but condemned. You see, channeling is a witness to truth, not. But channeling truth can become something very valuable to us. But for so many of us, it's uncharted waters. We've never channeled truth before. We thought it was New Age. New Age! And we've been so inculcated with so many concepts about being beware of false teachers. We've been scared to learn. To learn what? To learn what's out there. To learn what's between us and God, between us and our energy body, between us and truth. Why do you want to stop truth from communicating with you? Truth will flow. But remember, truth has two sides, not. But infinite energy works one way. Infinite energy does not work to control itself, limit itself. You see, this message that I speak this day, this lesson, this video teaching, does not stand alone. I first began to channel 21 years ago, having no idea what I was doing. I fumbled along. I created many misunderstandings. But in my zeal, I never stopped. I had no precedent for channeling love. And you notice I said love. I didn't call it God because I've learned the difference. Love and God are not synonymously. They're not synonyms for exactly the same thing. Can be does not mean is, and certainly not always. So I have spent years channeling, and I've talked about this over 3,000 lessons are online, transcribed, searchable. My website is my name is my website, TheodoreCottingham.com. I began to channel, and very shortly, words came to flow through me to start a school that would be like no other. So as I began as a devout, disciplined, devoted Christian simply seeking to know God, I was confident that God was speaking with me to communicate with me and teach me. You can ask, why me? Why did I receive these thousands of words and have for years like this to channel the first person words of God? My reply is, I don't know, but probably because I was so desperate. There's an element of desperation. I've heard many messages on grace, free will, free grace. Accept, free grace, have faith. But it makes you a follower. It makes you insipid, weak. It robs your ability to create, to think about the vast cosmos and begin to witness the power of creation through his hands. No longer, but yours. Because you are not wresting it from him, you begin to grow up. You become imbued. You become knowledgeable. You begin to see, feel, think. Empower you through channeling you when you know who you are. You thought it was God. You thought it was love, the God of love. I thought I was writing the first person words of God for so long. But I was. I was it that held me in separation. Because you see, the definitions are so limiting. So if you're not willing to take time to learn a new language, new definitions, new words, new humility, new powers, then you remain stagnant. And you determine your belief systems by someone else. And then you live vicariously. And you take your truth to the grave. Having submitted, surrendered, signed, sealed, delivered, crawl in the casket. But my friends, you are creative. You are the power of the powerful. I see certain questions being asked, but my friends, this session is not a Q&A workshop. I can do one. I've done many seminars in the past. I led 21 one-week conferences where I spoke 3 times a day in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But I share with you like this, times of like this where I channel. I'm channeling grace, love, peace, disruption, contrition, you see, I ask a lot of questions with the energy of faith, but an energy infinite. I think sometimes, yes, I wrote this book, Jesus the Pattern, over like some 11 years. But you see, I may change the cover many times, but on this one, I have this picture. Well, it's not just to be an attractive picture. I chose it. Why did I choose it? Well, I could probably talk an hour on why I chose this picture and what it conveys to me and what I hope it may convey to you. In saying that, I think of a Jason Bourne movie quote. At one point, after an agent's office is ransacked, they think the agent is rogue. Anyway, one of the main characters, if you've seen this, you'll know, says, "Oh, Jason Bourne just did that. It was just random. That has no meaning." And Julia Stiles says, it's famous quote, famous in me. She says, no, you don't understand. They don't do anything random. There's meaning. There's meaning in every picture, like the picture I put at the beginning of this video. I began using ChatGPT 4.0. I'm fascinated with the values that I found, the value that I find so meaningful to me, and what I do. And I can explain that. But that's beyond the scope of this, just like the Q&A, the workshop that I may do, a seminar, maybe here in Eureka. Have you ever been to Eureka? You know, you can write me in these comments and be certain that as far as I know, I read them all. And know that I don't always respond to the comments in the comments. So often I respond to the comments the next time I record. Because the awareness of your question, I'm conscious of. So I'm conscious the next day or the next few days of certain questions that are not in the forefront of my thinking, but they're in my awareness. They're in my consciousness. And as I surrender, and I speak surrenderedly and sometimes ramble through the bramble, all of a sudden I address. All of a sudden, the energy pathways, the local neurons of what question was asked, the gateways, the axon hillocks no longer limit me through the neurons. Chemical connections, electrophysiological connections occur, and all of a sudden, bang, a phrase comes out of my mouth where I address your question. Or a question that I've had, and I ask many questions. And I listen to these recordings, and I read your notes, and I appreciate the kind ones. And I no longer worry about the unkind ones. So this is why I do this at 73. It certainly hadn't been for all the monetary rewards. Has there been any? Do you think I've even covered my expenses? Ever? I do this to reunite the angels. But not to leave you forlorn. Just like I began 21 years ago when I started channeling, I had no precedent for what I began doing. So I fumbled along in my zeal and did the best I could. Words came about starting a school. So I started a school. I've offered a school. Several different times I made major efforts to comply and begin a school the best way that I could, the best way that I knew. I've never had deep pockets, etc. years, I've had a lot more tears. And have been often been misunderstood. Because I'm such a common guy and I speak of such uncommon things. And I speak of them now. Just like today I speak of the angels, reuniting the angels. A light race that existed before what we call God. Perfect in love, perfect in peace, perfect in power, perfect in creation, perfectly creating. It wasn't a democracy. Nor a monarchy. It was a freedom-filled operation of interstellar love, not restricted to dimensions, time, space, or planets. So we weren't restricted by molecular light, molecular speed. We knew a freedom that love empowers, to empower freedom, to love all equally, to see something in every person and to recognize it and to value it and to value every person equally. Because we are infinite of the universe, of the spectrum of energy. How else shall I say it? When I have a better phrasing of that, I'll use it. So I learn. I continue to learn. Why do I do this? Even when I feel like, you know what? Not only because I gained from it, but I hope something is sparking. Sparks in you. Where something is ignited, not of faith, but of love, of creation. To see a bigger picture of you and your world, of you and your existence, of you and your capacity, of you and your power to create, so that there is no condemnation in you from another or from you. For there is no condemnation in love. I do this for love to be made known and operational, so that our operating system is no longer looking out through these two eyes as windows into a world that is so filled with grief and suffering for so many. We have thought so small. We so often think about us in our containment series and how we've been contained and how we are so limited. And we think other people are happier, more blessed, more anointed, that there are multiple levels of hierarchy in the kingdom of God, and they have something we don't. But all those are false assumptions. That which we see through our two eyes limits us to a sliver of infinite mercy, infinite grace, infinite energy. Because you are the infinite one. Infinite. There are no limits on you. But you see, we haven't operated in the unlimited, infinite, eternal, immortal, interdimensional that is not limited to space, time, and gravity in a long time. So during these eons of iterations of creations, we have undergone many surgeries to make us like we are. To have our brains sawed in half and yet plugged back into each other, pre-programmed, reprogrammed, erased, and reused. You see, we never die. But the flesh dies. So the real us that doesn't die, the eternal us, is intangible, invisible. It's what actually animates us. Inside of us, or shall we think about it, being us. In reuniting the angels, angels must learn to communicate. We have the privilege to communicate in a new way with a new language. A language that for now I will call light. Light based in love. Light love, one word, love light. That is not based on syllables or limited to concepts, nor past thinking. For the realms of the infinite are opening up to us again. The vast realms of the cosmos are no longer far away. Because we're beginning to see inside of us, see with our words, see with new words, see with the eyes of our understanding what it means for the kingdom of heaven to be inside of us. The kingdom of heaven is within you. It's not afar off. You can't find it if you're looking for it. You can't find the kingdom of heaven unless you come as a little child And there has to be a hell of a lot more than want to open the door. Because very early in each life, we learn to say, I want. Oh, I want this. I want that. I want. I want more. I want more this. I want more food. I want more happiness. I want more grace and peace in my life. I want something to help me get through the day. I want something to ease the pain. I want. And we begin to, a lot of us answer with various ways. I want God. We don't know what else to call a higher power, or maybe we call it source or universe. No matter what you call it, love listens. Love that exists, that existed before time began, before, quote, God ever showed up. The idea of worshiping a God came from man. The idea of worshiping a God, the idea of a God to worship, is created by the manner of separation between us and our spirit, us and our energy, us and the eternal being that we call us. The separation of. So we're learning some abstract concepts maybe. There's so much to learn. And there are ways to learn that won't limit us if we are willing to flow. The truth that disrupts our flow of belief systems so that the electrical pathways, the neurons, the interchanges, no longer determine our reality. And this is the privilege of you this day. You can enter it, but it's not easy. It's not said by a prayer. It's not fast or simple, but it's not rocket science. And so when I say this lesson does not stand alone, there are 2,400. The first 2,400 that I channeled are searchable online. I estimate them to be a database of over 10,000 pages. And during those years and those lessons, as they progress, if you spend time in them, you will learn many things. You will learn love begin to be revealed in ways that few have. You'll see diction and grammar change, punctuation change, and at times no punctuation at all. There'll be times there'll be no capital letters, and occasionally all capital letters. And if you use all capital letters and no punctuation, my goodness, it can be challenging. And yet, originally, I understand the Bible was written without chapters, without verses, etc. If you're an angel, you want to know your power, don't you? You want to know your power, but do you want to use your power? And if you begin to use your power, who will you use it against or for? And what kind of judgment will be going on within the mind of you, my friend, to determine who gets healed or who gets destroyed, or how equity is imposed or granted? Are you willing to exist in freedom, in ways of freedom that existed before our systems of equity, wrath, and judgment became so coagulated, discombobulated? Okay, I'm going to wind this up. I do this to share love. I do this for my own learning because I am in the school that I teach in. I teach in my school that you, in my school, if you are in it, you begin creating yours. Because you begin to see there is not an authority level. There's not a hierarchy in the kingdom of heaven like we've been taught or thought. We begin to allow creation to reoccur. We begin to open to our new identity, one that is no longer powerless, but one that creates. And to see it is not to have it. And believe me, if you master it, you don't have what I'm talking about. If you're driven, if you're motivated by something you want to tap into, to use for you, use its principles or its power, believe me, that is not what I'm talking about. And that's where motives begin to divide between what I'm calling God and what I'm calling love, and what I'm calling original love, where love existed in perfect creation in all equally, and we loved each other equally, where we saw the value of every person, no matter what color they are or have been, no matter how old and decrepit, no matter how feeble. We no longer judge according to our own personal standards or the standard of any religion or any book, because we have become something of the same them. You see, the angels are conscious of each other. And if we experience the full consciousness of ourselves, if you do and I do, don't you want to ask a bunch of questions? Golly, I did, I still do. You could ask, then, will I know everything you know? Will you know everything I know? Will I be in your mind? Will you be in my mind? Or will, I have an on-off switch, or a switch that electrocutes you if you're not nice to me, or the memory of you, or Anybody that wants to be brutal? Or how this works? You see, I suggest love is waiting for us to grow up. If all you want to do is comply with the wishes of other people, study the scriptures to show yourself approved unto God, a workman that needs not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth so that you can enter the gates of heaven when you die. You can live your life accordingly. But I'm telling you, there's coming a race, and is now here, of simple, common people. People no longer devoted to sitting on a pew, reading a book, studying God's word, thinking all God is love. There's a lot of God that is not love-based. A lot of love is control-based, limited-based. And believe me, when you start talking about the God who will visit the sins of the fathers to the children of the third and fourth generation, I want no part of that vengeance, of that record keeping, of the way that works. I will not submit. I won't submit. And if I die, I die. But while I live, I am not submitting to death. Any God that tells a people to go into another country and slaughter all the men, women, and children, cattle, nope, not my God. So all of a sudden, God and God are not the same. The word usage has become so prolific and yet so despised in different people's eyes, depending on what vowels they use or what consonants and what they think it means. And that's why I use love. And that's why I speak about original love. Love brings power. Don't you see love? Love is the most powerful force, energy existent anywhere. It's beyond and not limited to the nuclear force, the weak force, the strong force, the gravitational force. There's a way to communicate. You see, perfect love casts out all fear. In perfect love, there is no fear. We are going into the vast unknown. The vast frontier, not ruled by time, space, and gravity. We are the people that existed before giants, before the sons of men. We were women. We had a womb. But we weren't necessarily gendered like you think. Because we were undivided. gender identity had not been thought up. There weren't two genders. There was only one, angel. Angel communicated without syllables, in unlimited fashion and form, creating creation. And this is where we're going back to. And as we begin to flow and channel and not be afraid of channeling, not being afraid of New Age, not being afraid to open the door to the kingdom of heaven within you every day, to channel and even record it like this, we become more and more aware, creating our consciousness so that our awareness is no longer constricted by the creative processing of mankind's mind. You can write me if you like. Theodore Eureka, or we'll run together. Theodore Eureka at gmail.com. I'm simply a common guy, 73, dedicated and devoted to love. Would you believe, it amazes me that only in very recent mainly in the last year, have I had the increasing recognition of love and what I really love. What I really love is not a who. I finally began to realize that what I'm in love with is really love. Love itself. And it began to reformulate, restir, recreate, unlimit me in my thinking, in my evaluation of each other, common people, everybody else. And not just see a sea of people as a vast potential for a labor force or to make money or to have followers, but to see their value, to see them as me. I am. And when I see you as you really are, oh, I can love. I can love you no matter whether you're black, blue, green, red, no matter what your past has been or what you thought about or think about, no matter who you pray to or devote your life to, because I'm looking at something beyond the flesh, no longer limited to these two eyes, but viewing through the eternal history, not, but the expanse without time, without judgment, except to see the beauty of the perfect you. And the perfect you is that perfect energy body It's no longer trying to expand a void or fill an insatiable want, vacuum, void. You begin to see your own identity as an angel, a person, a people, an angel, a being of light, no longer limited to eyes, no longer limited to the faith of anybody else. You begin to see your face as the perfect one, no longer wanting another one. You begin to see the creative power of miracle joy. And you begin to not only see it, you begin to flow it, because you begin to surrender to the words that you begin to surrender to flow, because the energy begins to roll around in different directions and begins to affect your speech patterns differently. If what comes out of your mouth, you won't limit to what you've been told or what you've read in a book or what you've worshiped in the past. You become the living Word. And the energy of the living Word is infinite, eternal, immortal, interdimensional. And baby, you will not fashion it and form it to live in another form and call it man or woman again. Teach it, train it, to dumb it down, to live as your vascular resources in your blood or your mind or anything else. Because I'm here, and who am I? I'm speaking as truth at this moment. I'm speaking as the revelation of me. The revelation of meonics. The study of meology, where you begin to look into the mirror and you no longer take off your joy. You no longer dismantle your authority. You no longer reject your creativity. You begin to see a different sight, the unlimited being of you, through not just my words, but the words that you begin to channel in this school as you begin to create a school at the same time. In every course in this school, you create a course. Part of being in this course is you create a course. Because the course creates you not, but the power of creation creates. You simply begin to surrender, to no longer limit your creativity, so you begin to open your mouth and you begin to love. And if you're willing to begin to love in a new way, love will converse, love will begin to speak, love will begin to wake you up in the night. Love will sometimes communicate with you into your mind just when you're about to get asleep and you want to sleep so bad. But you make a choice to get up and write it down. Write it down. Because you value it. If you're not willing to write down those words of communion, you're not ready. You're not ready for this course, this class, this school. You're not devoted. You're not desperate. Easier for a rich man to go to the eye of a needle than it is to, well, you know. You see, if all your needs are met, if you're complacent, if you're happy as lark, being blind with the blind leading the blind, limited to an income stream of dollars, rubles, and shekels, committed to die in a few years, you can do so. But there's more for you if you're willing to know. If you're willing to create. If you're willing to open your mouth to the energy of the infinite within and feel the love, see the love, be the love. It's not something you espouse based on a set of values, rules or regulations or commandments. This is where you begin to learn to defeat the God story. Because you're no longer limited to it. You no longer need it, if you ever did. What if you're taught from birth that you are an angel and that your identity is from the infinite within you and that you are not subject to syllables? You're not subject to the containment series of man. You're not subject to the God story. Any God story. You're perfect. You are the image of you. In this series, but for the moment, this life may be but like a vapor in the scope of time. But you, my friend, can change the outcome for a multitude of people. How? With your power? By your love. Be not afraid of your power, but don't worship it. When you begin to worship your power, you begin to want more and more power. It becomes insatiable. And that's when you want to create followers. Follow me. Love empowers. Grace brings gratitude, not affliction. Love begets love. Love creates love. The more you create, the more you communicate, the more consciousness you have of creating the creation of the Creator again, you being it. There. Please write that down. I hope you see this as school. School of the inner within, school of the perfect me. Me being the one you see in your mirror. My name is Theodore Cottingham. School of joy, school of disruption, school of emptying the church, school of decolorizing those who think they walk in authority to have rule over you. All religious authority I call null and void. I pronounce it this day. And who am I? A simple guy, 73. Golf shirt, shorts, sneakers. Going to leave here in a few minutes. Walk down the street. Get me a mocha. Sit outside. and breathe love. And I ask you, you see, to love you. Begin to see with different eyes through the words of me that I give you this way, so freely, for you to develop your word stream of love also, to begin to create courses, to begin to outline every one of these lessons, outline them, record them, make a recording. For years and years, I analyzed, I dissected, I annotated, I drew underlines and links multiple times with different colors, creating visuals, drawing on a whiteboard, wanting to glean, not wanting to master, but wanting to understand. And when you want to love love, believe me, love will teach you. But it's not like you think. You'll ask one question, and love may answer you with a set of questions that have nothing to do with what you wanted to know. For me, when I really began to ask, I began to question my assumptions. I wanted to know more. I began to really cry out. I didn't know how to pray. Not really. And as I began to ask and quest, in the beginning, there were times that I would become aware of certain things. So many times, love doesn't speak to you. Speak with us, communicating, linear, line by line, precept by precept. We have to go beyond that thinking to an awareness, creating a consciousness of communication, of creativity. There's a progressive nature. There's a progressiveness. There's a maturity. So when I first began to really quest and question, I became increasingly aware of barriers that I created for myself. And I've spoken several times early on. I began to have a recurring thought. That I felt like was from love. There's a wrench in your garage. Okay? But I knew. I sensed. I knew exactly what wrench I thought, what is the deal? There's a wrench in my garage. But the truth of the matter is, it was a long pull handle wrench, kind of a specific wrench. And I used it. It was perfect for when I changed the oil in my motorcycle. But you see, I didn't buy it. It was not given to me. I stole it. I stole that wrench from the U.S. Air Force. When I got out of the Air Force Reserve, I kept it. And all of a sudden, I began praying about knowing God, knowing Jesus and the power of his resurrection. And I began to know what I'm praying to is letting me know there's a wrench in my garage. I had a decision to make. So not on day one or day two, but very shortly. I returned that wrench to the U.S. Air Force with a letter of explanation, apologizing, with a statement of why. If you want to channel, if you want to know, if you want to do the things that Jesus did and more, if you want to be a part of an educational system of communication, creativity, and consciousness that supersedes everything you've ever been taught, so that you unite the infinite you, the Holy Spirit of you, with you to be seamless, to walk on this earth in your original power. You can, but it will cost you. You must become humble as a little child. And the things that come to you that are brought to your mind by the Universal Intelligence Service, not, but the core of the angels, the community of love, the angelic host of heaven, the angelic host of infinite power, light, love, and peace that exist beyond, throughout, and not contained by the molecular will communicate. And see if you're willing to hear, respond, act. No longer sitting in a pew being taught to take no thought tomorrow. Take no thought for tomorrow, for it will take care of itself. Bullshit. Wars and rumors of wars, brutality, floods, famine. Ignorance is everywhere. But I've taught. I teach. I'm starting a school. You can't see it. There's nothing to see, like if you're looking for mortar, brick and mortar, a campus. Oh, I'll have one. Brick and mortar too. Mostly not. But some. I'll have students who want to be infinite again, who no longer want to create their demise, who are willing to not reunite with the angels of perfect perfection, who existed before time began. We are the ones. I don't expect all to understand all that I've said, but you know who you are if you're willing, ready and able to unite with the real you, to become the seamless you, to create heaven again here. I love you all. I go now. TheodoreCottingham.com. Thank you for sharing, listening, and creating the real you. Good day.